Arizona's real estate law is built upon four fundamental pillars: the Arizona Constitution, the Arizona Revised Statutes, ARS, the Arizona Administrative Code, AAC, and case law. Each source of law plays an essential role in shaping how real estate professionals conduct business, how regulations are enforced, and how consumer protections are maintained across the state. Understanding how these components interact provides a complete picture of Arizona's real estate regulatory system and ensures that every licensee operates in compliance with state law. Constitutional authority. The foundation of all Arizona law begins with the Arizona Constitution, which outlines the powers of the state and establishes the authority for professional regulation. Of particular importance to real estate professionals is Article 26, which permits licensed real estate agents and brokers to prepare and complete standard real estate contracts and forms without being accused of practicing law. The significance of Article 26 was reinforced in the landmark case, State Bar of Arizona versus Arizona Land Title and Trust Company, 1961. This case confirmed that licensees may fill in pre-approved contract forms, provided they are representing one of the parties to the transaction. However, Article 26 does not authorize licensees to act as attorneys or charge separately for legal document preparation. The intent of this constitutional provision is to allow licensees to facilitate real estate transactions efficiently while remaining within the scope of their license. To comply with Article 26, a real estate professional must represent at least one party in the transaction when drafting or completing real estate documents, such as purchase contracts or bills of sale. Acting independently without representation would exceed the authority granted under the Constitution and could lead to disciplinary action by the Arizona Department of Real Estate, ADRE. Statutory law, Arizona Revised Statutes, ARS. Statutory law is created by the Arizona legislature and forms the written, enforceable body of law that governs professional licensing and conduct. The statutes relating to real estate are found in Title 32, Professions and Occupations, Chapter 20, Real Estate. The process of creating the Arizona Revised Statutes begins when a bill is proposed by a legislator, public agency, or citizen initiative. The bill is introduced, reviewed by legislative committees, debated, amended if necessary, and then voted upon by both chambers of the legislature. If approved, it is sent to the governor for signature. Once signed, it becomes law and is incorporated into the ARS under its appropriate title and chapter. Title 32, Chapter 20, establishes the framework for real estate licensing, education, disciplinary procedures, and the powers of the real estate commissioner. It defines how the ADRE operates and ensures that all licensees act ethically, professionally, and within the law. Administrative law, Arizona Administrative Code, AAC. While the legislature enacts statutes, the enforcement and interpretation of those statutes are carried out by state agencies. These agencies create rules to implement the laws under their jurisdiction. In Arizona, these rules are compiled in the Arizona Administrative Code, AAC, which serves as the operational guide for enforcing statutes. The ADRE regulates Title IV, Chapter 28 of the AAC, also known as the Commissioner's Rules. These rules detail the standards of professional conduct, advertising, education, property management, record keeping, and broker supervision. Each rule directly supports the legislative intent found in Title 32, Chapter 20 of the ARS. Examples include R4-28-1101, establishes professional conduct standards for honesty, fairness, and disclosure. R4-28-1103 defines broker supervision and responsibility over licensees and transactions. R4-28-502 regulates advertising and identification of the employing broker. R4-28 outlines trust account record keeping and reconciliation requirements. These rules are enforceable by the ADRE through compliance audits, investigations, and disciplinary actions. Together, they ensure that statutory law is effectively applied in everyday real estate practice. Substantive Policy Statements, SPS. When laws or rules are ambiguous or when new industry practices emerge, the ADRE issues substantive policy statements, SPS, to clarify how it interprets and enforces existing law. These policy statements are authorized under ARS Section 41-1001, open parenthesis, 22, close parenthesis, and are advisory in nature. Although not legally binding, like statutes or rules, they carry significant authority because they represent the agency's official enforcement stance. The primary purpose of a substantive policy statement is to provide clarity, consistency, and guidance. SPS documents help licensees understand how the ADRE will apply certain statutes or rules and prevent confusion that might lead to unintentional violations. A notable example is ADRE Substantive Policy Statement Number 2005.10, which affirmed that electronic signatures are legally valid under the Uniform Electronic Transactions Act, ARS Section 44-7001 at TCQ. This policy statement allowed brokers and agents to confidently use digital platforms in real estate transactions, ensuring compliance with modern practices. The Real Estate Commissioner, under ARS Section 32-2104A5, has the authority to issue these statements. The Commissioner uses SPS documents to provide clarity on how laws are interpreted, enforceable standards are applied, and how licensees can maintain compliance. Case law and common law. Case law refers to judicial decisions made by courts that interpret and apply existing laws to specific disputes. These decisions create precedent, meaning that future courts must follow the same reasoning when similar cases arise. The principle of stare decisis, to stand by things decided, ensures consistency and predictability within the legal system. Common law is the foundation from which case law evolves. It consists of long-established legal principles and doctrines developed through centuries of judicial rulings, such as fiduciary duty, good faith, and fair dealing. In real estate, many professional obligations, like the agent's duty to act in the best interest of the client, originate in common law. Examples of influential Arizona case law include Barnes v. Lopez, 1985. Clarified offer and acceptance principles in real estate contracts. Hill v. Jones, 1986. Established that sellers and agents must disclose known material defects affecting a property's value. Lombardo v. Albu, 1999. Define the scope of an agent's fiduciary duty when representing multiple parties. These rulings interpret both statutory and administrative law and provide practical guidance for real estate professionals. How case law may be overturned. Case law is not permanent. Courts, the legislature, or the people of Arizona can overturn or modify existing judicial decisions to ensure fairness and legal accuracy. Case law can be overturned through four main processes. By a higher court decision, the Arizona Supreme Court or Court of Appeals may reverse a lower court's ruling, setting a new precedent. By legislative action, the Arizona legislature can pass a new statute or amend existing laws to override a court's interpretation. By constitutional amendment, the people of Arizona may vote to amend the state constitution, changing the legal basis for prior court rulings. By distinguishing cases, a court may limit the scope of a previous decision by determining that the facts differ significantly from the original case. This flexibility ensures that Arizona's legal system adapts to evolving social standards, technology, and industry practices while maintaining justice and fairness. Courts with authority to create common law. In Arizona, not all courts have the authority to create binding common law. Only the Arizona Court of Appeals and the Arizona Supreme Court may establish precedents that shape the state's legal principles. Superior courts function as trial courts, applying existing laws to individual cases but not creating precedent. The Court of Appeals issues written opinions that interpret statutes and rules. These published opinions become binding on lower courts unless overturned by the Supreme Court. The Arizona Supreme Court holds the highest authority to interpret, modify, or overturn common law. Its decisions are binding on all other courts within the state. Through their published decisions, these appellate courts define the scope of legal duties, contractual rights, and professional responsibilities that govern Arizona real estate practice. Comprehensive summary of key learning points. 4 sources of law. Arizona's real estate law is governed by the Constitution, statutes, ARS, administrative rules, AAC, and case law. Article 26 of the Arizona Constitution allows real estate licensees to prepare and complete contracts only when representing a party to the transaction. ARS Title 32, Chapter 20, contains the statutory framework for real estate licensing, regulation, and enforcement. AAC Title 4, Chapter 28 includes the Commissioner's rules that define professional standards and procedures for licensees. IDRE Oversight. The Arizona Department of Real Estate enforces laws, interprets rules, and regulates education, licensing, and professional conduct. Substantive Policy Statements, SPS, provide official clarification of how the ADRE interprets and enforces existing laws and rules. Authority to issue SPS, granted to the Real Estate Commissioner under ARS Section 322104. Case law, court-made law that interprets how statutes and rules apply in real-world situations. Common law, the body of unwritten legal principles that serve as the foundation for modern real estate law. Overturning case law occurs through higher court rulings, legislative changes, constitutional amendments, or case distinctions. Courts creating common law. The Arizona Court of Appeals and Arizona Supreme Court establish binding precedent for the state. Final summary. The Arizona Real Estate Regulatory Framework is a comprehensive system designed to ensure that real estate professionals uphold ethical, legal, and professional standards. It begins with the Arizona Constitution, which grants authority to practice, continues through the Arizona Revised Statutes, which define legal obligations, and is operationalized through the Arizona Administrative Code, which details how the law is enforced. Substantive policy statements offer clarity and adaptability, while case law ensures that laws are interpreted fairly and consistently through the courts. Together, these elements create a balanced system that protects consumers, guides licensees, and preserves the integrity of Arizona's real estate profession.